I lost my job. My stepdaughter said, I don't need a jobless man as a father. 2 weeks later, my wife filed for divorce. Until she saw everything was in my name. Now she wants me back, but I've already moved on. Hello Reddit I plus here. My name is Eric Dawson. I'm 44, a software engineer by trade. But more importantly, I'm a man who learned the hard way that sometimes betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the very people you feed, love, and shelter. 3 months ago, I lost my job, not because I was incompetent, far from it. The company I'd been loyal to for over a decade was acquired by a hedge fund that gutted the staff like fish. We were numbers on a spreadsheet. I was called in, handed a packet, and told my position had been made redundant. I came home, sat in my car for a full 20 minutes, just staring at the dashboard. Not from shame. No, I'd saved well, invested smart. But I knew the news wouldn't be received with compassion. When I walked in that evening, dinner was already on the table. My wife, Clarissa, and her 17-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, Mia, were laughing over some influencer's TikTok. I waited until they were both quiet before I spoke. I lost my job today, I said, trying to keep it calm. They let almost everyone go. Clarissa blinked, then nodded. That's unfortunate, she said, setting down her wine glass. But it was Mia who twisted the knife. She didn't even flinch. She looked me dead in the eye and said, I don't need a jobless man pretending to be my father. I froze. Clarissa didn't reprimand her. She didn't even look surprised. She just stood, picked up her glass again, and walked away. You see, I raised Mia like my own since she was 9, bought her first phone, paid for her school trips, taught her how to ride a bike, and in one sentence, she discarded me like I was an accessory that had gone out of style. For 2 weeks, I walked on eggshells in my own house. Clarissa began staying out late. When she was home, she was glued to her phone, texting with a smile I hadn't seen in years. The affection had evaporated. Then came the blow. One Thursday morning, I came back from a job interview to find divorce papers on the kitchen counter. No note. No explanation. Just cold, printed words. Petition for dissolution of marriage. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to sugarcoat it. I married a provider, Eric, she said bluntly. Not a liability. This isn't what I signed up for. You can keep your pride. I'll be taking the house, the car, and the savings. And then she smiled. That smug, cruel kind of smile that makes your blood run cold. She thought she had it all figured out. But here's what Clarissa didn't know. The house? Bought 5 years ago. In my name only. The car? Leased under my business. The savings? Stored in an irrevocable trust, set up long before we married. She signed a prenup. She laughed at it back then, called it a pointless formality. So when her lawyer contacted mine, expecting a payout, the reality hit like a freight train. She was entitled to nothing. Not the house, not the vehicles, not a dime. She stormed into my office that same day, eyes blazing. You tricked me, she yelled. No, I said quietly. You just never cared enough to ask. A week later, Mia came home from school and found a for sale sign on the front lawn. Clarissa was already scrambling to find a place to stay. Turns out the man she was texting, some executive at her gym, ghosted her the moment she mentioned divorce. He'd been married, and he wasn't leaving his wife. Karma's timing is exquisite. 2 months passed. I moved into a downtown loft, smaller but peaceful. No cold shoulders, no judgment, no hidden betrayals. Then, one rainy afternoon, I got a knock on the door. Clarissa. Soaked, makeup running, bags under her eyes. The confident, manipulative woman I once knew was now trembling in the hallway. I made a mistake, she said, voice barely above a whisper. We were going through a rough patch. I let my pride get the best of me. I miss you. I didn't answer right away. I stepped aside, letting her see the apartment. Minimalist, clean, peaceful. Then I pointed to the dining table, where another woman sat, Michelle. Someone I'd met during a tech networking seminar. A kind, intelligent woman who knew the value of quiet loyalty over flashy appearances. Clarissa's face fell. She realized then, I was gone. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, entirely. You always said I'd never find someone better than you, I said, meeting her eyes. But the truth is, I didn't need better. I just needed different. Genuine. Honest. Clarissa left in silence. A few weeks ago, I received a letter. Handwritten. From Mia. She apologized. Said she didn't realize how much I'd done for her until it was too late. Asked if we could meet. I haven't replied. Maybe one day. But some bridges once burned don't deserve to be rebuilt. This isn't a story of revenge. It's a story of realization. Of how quickly love can turn conditional, and how quiet betrayal can live under your roof for years without ever showing its face. But most of all, It's about walking away, not bitter, but wiser. Because sometimes the best revenge is not what you take, but what you no longer allow back into your life. It was a quiet Sunday morning when the next attempt came. I was sipping coffee on my balcony, enjoying the calm hum of the city below, when my phone buzzed. It was an unfamiliar number. I let it go to voicemail. Minutes later, a text arrived. "Eric, it's Mia. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry again. I was young, stupid, and cruel. Can we talk, please?" I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the screen. I wanted to say something. Maybe, "You weren't stupid, you were entitled, and I let you be." But I said nothing. I just locked the phone and finished my coffee. Later that week, Michelle and I had dinner with some friends, good people, the kind who talk about ideas, not other people, who ask questions and actually listen to the answers. Midway through dessert, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned, and there she was, Clarissa. She looked different, thinner, paler, the kind of tired you can't sleep off. I stood to keep things polite, but Michelle reached out and gently placed her hand on mine. No insecurity, just presence, grounded and steady. "I don't mean to interrupt," Clarissa said quietly, "but could we talk for a moment? Alone?" I glanced at Michelle. She gave a small nod. I followed Clarissa outside to the restaurant's entrance. She hesitated before speaking. "I've been in therapy," she said, "trying to understand why I did what I did. How I threw away a man who only ever supported me. I blamed you for my unhappiness, but the truth is, I was the unhappy one. No matter what you gave." I looked at her and saw it all. Not just the regret, but the manipulation still coiled beneath it, cloaked in newfound humility. "Eric," she whispered, eyes wet, "I miss us. I miss the man who used to hold me during thunderstorms, who worked overtime just so Mia could go to that private school. I miss your stability, your heart." I let the silence stretch for a long beat. Then I said, calmly, "The man who held you during thunderstorms? You mocked him when he lost his job? The one who paid for Mia's education? She told him he wasn't a real father? You didn't miss me, Clarissa. You missed what I could do for you." She flinched. "You left when you thought I had nothing. Now you want to return, because you think I've rebuilt. I don't want your money." I held up a hand. "It's not about money. It's about who I became after you left. I learned peace. I learned self-respect, and I found someone who doesn't love me because of what I provide, but for who I am when I'm quiet, tired, and unsure." Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. The next day, Mia emailed me. A full apology, 3 pages long. She admitted everything, how she mimicked her mother's contempt, how she let entitlement blind her to the care I'd shown. She wrote that she was ashamed, that she'd started volunteering with underprivileged kids and realized how rare my presence in her life truly was. She asked if we could meet. That time, I responded, "Mia, I appreciate your honesty, and I'm glad you're learning and growing. That takes courage, but for now, I need space. I wish you well, and I hope one day you'll become the person I once believed you already were." I meant every word. Michelle and I traveled a lot that year, Greece, Morocco, and the Pacific Northwest. We shared books. We built routines. She asked about my past, but never judged it. She said once, "You don't have to apologize for how you healed." Sometimes I'd think about the house, the kitchen where I once cooked dinners for a family that saw me as a wallet with legs, the birthdays, the small arguments, the fake apologies, but they never haunted me. Not anymore. Clarissa tried one last time. On New Year's Eve, she sent a message at 11:58 p.m. "If you're alone tonight, know that I'm thinking of you. We could have had everything." I watched the fireworks from my rooftop. Michelle leaned against my shoulder, her warmth quiet and steady. I never replied, because the truth is, we did have everything. She just didn't know what that looked like until it was gone.